Selma is talking to Bernie Sanders. Let's listen.
Fight for their best interest. What candidate will guarantee or fight to bring health care to all, to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, take on the fossil fuel industry, and transform our energy systems to save the planet? That is really what the issue is. It doesn't matter whether you're old, you're young, you're black, you're white, you're woman, man. You got to take a hard look at the candidates and what they stand for and what their record has been.
So you said it's ageism. You said it's ageism, Senator?
Look, I think if I were to say to a younger person, you're not qualified because you're only 35 or 36 or something like that, you don't have the experience, that's not right. I don't think so. Judge people on the totality of who they are, what their ideas are, what their experience is, what their record is. That's what I think we should do.
We're live on CNN now, Senator. Do you believe that you were able to make your best argument tonight that you are the best equipped to defeat President Trump, or do you believe that you were sort of overshadowed by the fighting and talking over each other?
People to decide. I'm not a great fan of 45-second responses dealing with the major issues facing this country. But the main point that I wanted to make tonight is that I think all over America, people are saying, these folks are good people. They have some good ideas. But how come nothing changes? How come the rich get richer? How come we have 45 million people dealing with student debt, 40 million people in poverty? How come we're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care at all? And this is the issue that I tried to make tonight. How well I did, I'll let other people judge. That at the end of the day, and you don't talk about this on media, and we don't talk about it in Congress, why doesn't change happen? And the answer is that you have incredibly powerful entities like Wall Street, like the fossil fuel industry, like the pharmaceutical industry, like the insurance industry, like the military-industrial complex. And I will tell you that nobody up there, including me, can do it alone. We're going to need millions of people to stand up and finally say to those people, you will no longer continue running this country. We're going to have a government that represents all of us, not just big money interests. Now, that is an issue. It is not talked about on media, I understand. It is not talked about in Congress. But that is the reality. Unless we deal with the power structure of America and prepared to take these people on, real change will never happen. And that's my pledge. That's what my campaign is about. We are going to take on Wall Street.
Some Democrats worry that President Trump and other Republicans are smiling tonight at the fact that the Democratic Party is moving too far to the left on Medicare for all and other things. I know you disagree with that.
Yes, I do. And I'll tell you why. Every poll that I have seen suggests that every part of our progressive agenda is supported by the American people. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, overwhelming support. Make public colleges and universities tuition-free. Do away with student debt in this country. Very, very powerful. Very powerful and popular. Demand that the wealthy, look, we have a situation where Amazon, owned by the wealthiest person in this country, pays zero in federal income taxes. I am going to tax them. All of the ideas that we are bringing forth are popular ideas that what the American people want.
What about in swing states?
But Senator
lost Florida. Can you win Florida?
Yeah, I think we can. I do believe we can. But everything depends upon growing the voter turnout. It means bringing young people and working people into the political process in a way that we have never seen. And one of the things that I'm proud of, I think my campaign will be a campaign of energy, a campaign of excitement, will grow the voter turnout, and that's the way you beat Trump.
But you said you would have to raise taxes on the middle class, Senator.
Yeah, raise taxes on the middle class, but at the end of the day, they're going to be paying less for health care than they are right now. If you're paying $15,000 a year for health care right now in premiums and in deductibles and out-of-pocket cost, and I raise your taxes by $7,500, you're $7,500 to the good. You'll say, thank you very much, Bernie. Let's not get into this Republican nonsense. The American people are smarter than that, and they understand that if we can do away with premiums and co-payments and deductibles and out-of-pocket expenses, they will save money on health care.
You were standing next to Joe Biden. You're of the same era.
Why would the middle class want to have their taxes raised, and why would the middle class even want to have their private health insurance eliminated?
First of all, why would the middle class not want to continue to pay outrageously high premiums and have huge amounts of very high deductibles and co-payments? And why would the American people want to continue to spend almost twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country? Why would the American people want to pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs? We're going to cut the cost of prescription drugs in half. You think that's a radical idea? It is not, because that's what the rest of the world is paying.
Let me ask you one more question. You came of age the same time approximately as Joe Biden. Do you believe he does owe others an apology about his words on race and of some of those senators?
I've talked about that.
Senator Sanders,
Do you believe he does
what was
those?
your impression being in between that, having worked with both Senators Harris and Biden when he was a senator? What was it like, and were you surprised by it?
No.
Senator, would you like to speak with Anderson Cooper?
Mrs. Sanders, what did you think? You've seen some of these debates before.
I thought it was an interesting
think we're
debate,
listening.
and I think they talked about as many issues as they could get into with 10 candidates and 45-second answers, but I look forward to more.
All right.
We haven't seen you out
let's
on the
talk about what we just heard from Bernie Sanders, and also again the question. We heard a little bit from Senator Sanders a moment ago, talking to our Jeff Zeleny. He was kind enough to join us now. Senator Sanders, thanks for being with us. I heard you speaking to Jeff Zeleny earlier. I know he tried to ask you about the generational issue, which at least a couple of the other candidates tried to bring up tonight. David Axelrod is here with me, and he says it is appropriate to be asking a candidate about age and what that might mean for how they would govern. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that tonight.
Well, look, any question, age included, is appropriate. But what I think, and you know, what I think is the voter has to look at the totality of the candidate, what he or she stands for, what his or her record is, and their vision for the future. But what I would say, and the point that I try to make today, Anderson, is that I think you got a lot of people watching that debate, and they said, you know what, these are good people, and they have good ideas. But you know what, I've heard it all before. I've heard people talk about healthcare and education and climate change, but nothing real happens. I can't afford to go to the doctor. My kid is going to be poorer than I will be. My grandchild has enormous amount of student debt. And the point that I try to make, and this is what I believe in my heart, is that unless we are prepared to take on the people who have real power in this country, the power elite, and that is Wall Street, and that is the insurance companies, and that is the pharmaceutical industry, and that is the fossil fuel industry. Does anybody think that just a plan for climate change is going to do it to save the planet? You got to have the guts to take on an enormously powerful industry. And the only way that we do that, in my view, is when millions and millions of people stand up and say, enough is enough. You're not going to destroy the planet. You're not going to prevent me from getting health care or affordable medicine. And that's what this campaign is about. It's not just ideas. We got a lot of ideas. It is the understanding we're going to have to take them on. And if we don't, nothing is going to change.
Do you think, you were standing next to Vice President Biden, do you think he is up for taking Donald Trump on, given what you saw tonight? He essentially was defending, he was making a states' rights argument to Kamala Harris on that stage in defense of his position against the Department of Education busing.
Well, I think that there are a number of Democrats who, in fact, can defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country, and somebody who is not popular. Last poll that I saw had me 10 points in a national poll ahead of Trump, and other Democrats were also ahead of him. Trump is going to have to defend the fact that he is a liar and a racist and a sexist. He's going to have to defend the fact that he tried to throw 32 million people off the health care that they have, that he gave 83% of his tax benefits over a 10-year period to the top 1%, and that after telling people in his campaign that he was not going to cut Medicare and Medicaid, his budget called for massive cuts to Medicaid and Medicare.
If you're on stage with President Trump in a general election, you're prepared to call him a racist to his face?
Absolutely. Look, it gives me, honestly, it gives me no pleasure to say that. I have conservative friends who are certainly not racist. You know, we can disagree in this country. But if you look at Trump's life history, remember, he led the birther movement, trying to delegitimize the presidency of Barack Obama. His attacks on immigrants is racist. His attacks on the Muslim community is racist. So yes, sad to say, we have a bigot in the White House. And that's exactly what I would say to him.
Senator Sanders, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll be, of course, talking more candidates.